All right. So, Robert, we just started the recording. I'd like to start out with just a couple things. I do these interviews and I do these recordings for educational purposes. The views expressed are yours. I'm just kind of a conveyor of that. And I like to make this for educational purposes for people to understand what goes on in the immigration process. My name is Richard Lee. I'm a retired immigration officer. I spent 20 years for USC. I was working with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service as an immigration officer, as an immigration service officer, an immigration officer. I worked in fraud detection and national security as an investigator of primarily business fraud, immigration fraud, asylum fraud, things of that nature. I was on a task force called the Document Benefit Fraud Task Force with Homeland Security and worked with other agencies in that regard. What I like to do now is just try to give people a podium to express what they went through, the damage that they suffered through immigration, and the lack of support by USCIS for our U.S. citizens. One of the things I like to say is part of the motto of the Department of Homeland Security is to protect the homeland, and we're supposed to protect U.S. citizens. And quite frankly, I think we do a terrible job of that. But I would like for you, Robert, to introduce yourself and just tell us about you and tell us about your story. What happened to you with immigration? So you go ahead.
Well, I'm Robert. I'm not really sure where to go with what you just said.
You told me a little bit. You said that you married a woman from another country. What country was she from?
The Philippines.
And how did you meet her?
I met her through a mutual friend. He knew her for a few months before he introduced me to her. They were running a quote dating website for Filipinos wanting to meet and marry Western men.
Okay.
And he's from where I live. He's from where I live here in Oregon. Okay. And he was actually asking if I wanted to help moderate the site, to make sure that there wasn't any kind of illegal or abusive type of behavior on there from either the Filipino women or the American men. So it's just like, okay, I can do that. I know what to look for, kind of thing. So I was like, sure, why not? And the other moderator, it was him and my quote future wife were the two moderators, and I got on there to help when they weren't on, so I could basically do whatever, get on there and basically make sure everything's going copacetic.
Okay.
So it's just like, okay. So through that, he told me that she was interested in me, and I'm going, well, tell me to say hi. And he's like, well, they don't do that in the Philippines. You got to basically make the first move. And I'm like, all right. So I started talking to her, and we had some very long conversations through Facebook Messenger and Facebook video. And then on WhatsApp, we had lots of messages back and forth and video chats.
Okay.
And it seemed to be very mutual about us liking each other. Mm-hmm. So, over the course of months, she would, didn't realize it at first, but she'd say some things that were very much red flag type of things. And I didn't realize it until after everything went south.
Yeah. So what are some of the what are some of the red flag things that you can you share with me?
One of the things was that she seemed to be very, very jealous of if they weren't explicitly blood related women in my family related to me. She was very jealous about any woman that I was talking to.
Yeah.
And I have a few, here in America, things are a little bit different. And I mean, I'm not saying they're completely different, but it's like the way America is and the way we live here and stuff, it's like I've picked my own family for the most part. And I have lots of women friends that I consider sisters.
Yeah.
No attraction whatsoever to them, whatever, never will, never would happen kind of thing. So it's just like, okay. I was like, all right, whatever. And another, she would say like weird things, but I took it as a joke. She said that she shot and killed her husband because he cheated on her. Mm-hmm. And me, didn't know the laws in the Philippines. I didn't know the customs there or anything like that. And being an American, I thought that was a joke because who says that?
Who said you're going to
You know?
shot your spouse for cheating? Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that's crazy. Okay, but
Yeah, I
hey,
would not expect
cool.
that. I would think that would be a joke too. That would be kind of strange joke, but you'd still think nobody admit to that normally, right?
Well, I mean, I got like lots of friends with morbid humor.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, whatever, sure.
Yeah.
So, okay. And, but, there was just like little things, well, I guess that's a big thing, but like
Yeah.
things like that, it's just like I didn't acknowledge it whatsoever. It was just like,
Doesn't
okay.
register. It doesn't register. So something that far out on a limb doesn't register, right? So it doesn't initially. That's right.
Exactly. I thought it was a joke. I thought, okay, good. She's funny. She's got a good sense of humor. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And, over the course of like 2 or 3 months, we basically got to know each other. At least I thought I got to know her.
Mhm.
And so I was just like talking, and doing that. And, and it got to a point where it's like going, okay, I think I'm going to come visit you. And she was living in Hong Kong at the time as like a caregiver.
Mhm.
And so I was just like, okay. So I decided, hey, I've never been really out of this country except for Canada.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, Hong Kong. So I'm going to go to Hong Kong. So I saved up my money and was able to get some credit cards, get for some credit cards so I could travel.
Yep.
And so I went to Hong Kong and spent 10 days in Hong Kong with her and got to see, all this. And it seemed pretty good. And while I was there, I kind of planned it out just in case, because I was also studying up on immigration, what you need to do just in case you want to marry a citizen from another country.
Yeah.
And you have to meet them first. You have to basically, do the proposal and everything like that. So during the few months up until then, I decided, okay, I'm going to ask, if it goes well, I'm going to ask her to marry me while I'm in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And I decided on three different places depending on where we were at the time and doing that. So they have a thing there called the giant Buddha. It's like 110-foot Buddha that's at the top of this hill that you have to climb up to get to. So I was like, okay, this is where I'm going to do it, up here. And so I thought it was kind of cool and romantic. So that's where I proposed to her, was underneath the giant Buddha.
Yeah.
And she said yes, and we were happy and everything. So it's like I got to spend a little bit more time with her. And then another red flag popped up the night before we left. She started like, I went downstairs to get some food for us from the restaurant at the hotel. And I come back and she's like crying and seems upset. And I'm like, what's going on? And she somehow or another hacked into my phone, was able to figure out the password and get into my phone, and saw a conversation I had with a friend. And I mean, I didn't think of anything wrong with it because of, American sense of humor and stuff like that. So my friend is a woman. And one of the things she said was something about you got to be careful with Asians. And so I was just like, she got really upset about that. So I was just like, okay, I guess that could be classified, racist type of thing or bigoted kind of thing. So I was like, I'll delete this friend and make sure that I'm not friends with this person anymore, because I can see where you might be offended by that and how that could be quote like that. That was just the first of many times where she basically started getting upset with me being friends with women.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, okay. So that was in when I met her was October of 2018 in Hong Kong.
Okay.
And then at that point, over the next like month or two, we kind of decided, okay, I had like 2 qualifications for getting married for myself. I was like going, I wanted on, 3 actually. I wanted on Father's Day. So we planned it for June 16th, 2019 in the Philippines. And I wanted a beach wedding kind of thing, preferably early morning so my friends in America could watch it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I was able to get the beach marriage, which was really cool, which I was like, oh, okay, this is awesome. You know, everybody's there and everybody had good food and, you know, we had fun and stuff. So I was happy about it. And, you know, I mean, from October to June, there was lots of talking and back and forth and stuff like that, obviously.
Sure. Obviously.
I can't think of any like red flags during that period in between October of 2018 and June of 2019. So I'd have to go through my records and see, but I didn't really notice anything at that point.
Yeah.
And so we get married. I come back to America. She goes back to Hong Kong to work. And for the next basically 2 years, I'm working with immigration, trying to come up with the money. I'm on disability, but they have a program where I can work for a certain amount of time over a 5-year period and make as much money as I want. So in 2020, the census popped up. So I was able to work with the census for a little over 2 months, and I made a lot of money doing that. So from that time on, I was like, okay, now I can pay for all the immigration fees and everything. She started basically having her hand out. I need money for this. I need money for that. I need money for this. I need money for that. And it's like going, well, you're working and you had money before. How do you not have money now? Kind of thing. But that's another red flag there. It was just like, okay. And during that time, I think I sent her which sucks for me, but I sent her I think around a total of about $16,000 or $17,000.
Oh,
and that was basically all the money that I made off. Yeah, that was all the money that I made off of the working for the census. Mm-hmm. And then also during the pandemic, they had high amounts of unemployment, which I qualified for. So I was basically sending pretty much all of that and maxing out my credit cards so she could be happy. And I thought I was taking care of her. Yeah, I was kind of wrong about that. Yeah. So she stayed working in Hong Kong until the end of 2020. And then she was getting really upset. She didn't like working with the people that she worked with, and she was wanting to go home and stuff like that. And it was like, well, hopefully here in the next 8 to 10 months or so, I should be able to get you here. So she decided she was going to go home. And this is where I sent a bulk of the money, which was when she got home, which I didn't even think about, and that was a total of about $14,000 or $15,000 in an 8-month period. Because she kept saying that she needed food. Yeah, that is. I didn't realize until afterwards going, oh, all she needed for that period of time would maybe be about $4,000 or $5,000 to basically survive easily. Yeah. Yeah. But she kept asking for more and more money and stuff. And I was like blindly just sending money and maxing out my credit cards. And one of the things I told her, it's like, okay, when you get here, you're probably because we were married there. And when you come here, you're going to get your green card within probably 30 days. Yeah. Because we're already married. Yeah. So once you start working, the first two tax returns we get, I'm going to take so I can pay off these credit card debt, the credit card debt. Yeah. And going with that, and she agreed to it, but later rescinded that when she wanted to leave. Going, no, I want that money. It's my money. And it's like, yeah, okay. Yeah. But let's see. Now, when 2020 got here, I just kept sending money and stuff like that. And she kept sending me stuff going, I can't find, you're going to have to tell immigration that I'm single because I can't find a death certificate for my ex. Okay. Which was, I didn't think about it, because I was so hyper focused on filling out the paperwork for immigration and getting it corrected and right and everything like that, yeah. I was hyper focused there. So I didn't even think about a lot of the things she was telling me. She would tell me something crazy like that. And then the next question, I wouldn't even acknowledge it. I'd go straight to, and what's your son's full name? When's his birthday? Who's his dad, kind of thing, and stuff like that. And she would throw multiple things like that in a row. It did not even acknowledge it. Yeah. So when you fill out the paperwork, you said she was single, but she had been married before. Okay. That's interesting. I don't even remember. I don't even remember doing that. It's just like I just remember that she told me
She
that
would
she
tell
was
you.
married, and I was like, and I think I put widowed, but I'm not sure if I actually
Okay.
did that or not. I was just
Yeah.
like doing, trying to fill out the
Like,
paperwork and trying to
it
do
can be
what she
very
said and stuff like
confusing.
that.
And the new I-130, just so people understand, I want to interject with that new I-130 is voluminous. I mean, there's a lot of information in there. You got to fill out. It can be very confusing. It's a headache.
Oh yeah.
It used to be two
Oh yeah.
pages. It it used to be a 2-page document, front and back. And
Yeah.
now I think it's like 6 or 7 pages. And that's just one I-130 because you actually have 2 of those forms to fill out. 2 I-130, I-130A and the I-130. And that's crazy, a lot of it. And yeah, it's easy to get just
Oh,
lost.
I had to fill out one for her and one for her son.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So just so and
Okay.
just so people understand, when you're saying this stuff, it's very confusing. Are they single? Well, they're single now because they're no longer married, or they're widowed. You know, I
Yeah.
understand that to some degree. It makes sense. You're filling out stuff that's really messy. That's why a lot of people get attorneys and stuff to make sure they do it right. So, yeah,
Oh yeah.
but I got you. I just want to make sure that people understand that it can be a little bit a little
Oh
bit
yeah.
confusing.
And now, this is for anybody that's looking at marrying somebody from abroad, and stuff like that. One thing that basically, when I had like my full facilities going on in my head, is like going, okay, I'm going to Hong Kong. I know my sexual history and stuff like that of and everything, and I get checked out and stuff like that. So when I got back from Hong Kong, I got myself checked just to make sure,
Yeah.
that everything was clean and stuff like that. And I got a clean test and everything. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Now, that was in October of 2018. So
Yep.
now now we're going back. Sorry, I bounce all over the place.
Oh, that's okay.
ADHD. So now we're in the process of the last like few months of her coming to America.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So you filled out.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So you filled out the paperwork. You got the process going, and then that was in 2020, and so in 2020.
Actually, that was when I started the process. Got the first amount of money in to pay for it was the end of 2019,
Yeah. No, I
and then it
understand. Yeah.
basically, yeah, and then it was just like 2020 was just sitting around waiting for any paperwork from the immigration.
Yeah, you got to wait
So
on
it's
it.
just like, oh,
Just so people understand, you've got to wait on a visa. You fill out the I-130 visa petition. You send that paperwork in. It goes to Kentucky. It sits in Kentucky for a while. Then they send her something to her embassy in Manila, most likely, to say, hey, you need to come in here for your interview to get your visa to go to America. And so when did she get her visa to come here?
Uh, she actually didn't get that until I think it was like almost just like a month before she came here. It was
Okay.
August
Yeah.
2021.
2021. Okay. August of 2021. And so,
Yeah.
so when
And
did she come?
She arrived here on September 1st, 2021.
Okay. And she came to you in Oregon, right?
Yes, I picked her up at the airport. We spent a couple days kind of touring around Portland and seeing some of the sites and stuff like that before I brought her home.
Okay. And
So, but we back up a little bit before that.
Yeah.
There's a medical test that she has to take. That's why I did the STD test I was telling you about earlier.
Yeah. Okay. I'm
So
sorry.
I was clean when I came back from Hong Kong. I was clean.
Yep.
Nothing. I don't cheat on anybody, so I didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
She goes into Manila to do a basically the physical and blood test and everything like that they have to do before they come here.
Yeah.
She sends me paperwork showing that she has an STD, and I'm like going, wait a minute. as soon as she sent me that, I set up an appointment with my doctor to get checked out just to make sure, because, you know, there was Hong Kong and then there was the Philippines and so like that. So I'm like going, okay, if you got that, then there's a chance I might have it. So
Yeah.
I went and checked with my doctor. I went and got the blood test and everything with my doctor, still clean as a whistle. And this is where, you know, we've talked about this already. It's like going, in my mind, I started rationalizing, going, oh, it might be a false positive. It might be this. It might be this. And then she would sit there and goes, oh, I must have got it from the guy I met that I was with before I met you. And then as she went back to, well, actually, that was the last person that she said she got it, that she possibly got it from. First, she was saying it was from her husband. And then that didn't pan out. I'm going, okay, that's like 20 plus years. You didn't know you had it for 20 years.
Oh
how do you not do that?
Yeah.
And then she went back to her son's father, which was 2010. I'm going, that's still like 12 years. How do you not know that you have something like that? And then she goes back to 2017. I'm going, okay, that's still like 4 years. How did you not know you had this? This is one of those things. If you have it, you're going to know it. I mean, you might not know about it for a few months to maybe even a year or so.
Yeah.
But eventually it starts kicking in, and I'm like going, okay. So I was just like,
oh my God.
I was like, trying to rationalize. I was trying to rationalize it all.
Sure.
And, you know, obviously, I started talking to my friend. I have a couple doctor friends, so I started talking to them, and they're like, no, it's very rare to have a false positive on something like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, and she got it from a U.S. authorized medical clinic in Manila. So I'm going, okay, then it's probably fairly accurate then. You know, so.
Yeah.
So, but, you know.
But love is blind, right? I mean, one of the things, you know, people like to jump on this stuff. And I like to emphasize that when you're in love with someone or you really want someone, you really dismiss a lot of, so you're not alone. This is just so common. People judge people on this and not realizing what everyone puts up with. You know, we all as humans, we
I'll put this out there. Yeah, I'll put this out there too, because I know there's some people, myself included, that see this as like going, oh, you're with a Filipino. Look at how old you are. What is she, like 20? I'm like, no. She's in her 40s.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like I wasn't going for like a 20-year-old trying to regain my youth from 100 years ago. No.
Very good point.
I want someone. Yeah. So I mean, it's like, no, I wasn't trying to do that. I was like looking for somebody that's closer to my age, closer to my generation, that I can have a good conversation with and be in the same genre kind of thing. So
I got you.
Getting that out of the way. So
good.
yeah,
that's a good point to make. Yeah.
And I rationalized it out, and then she got here and stuff, and everything seemed to be pretty good for the first month and everything. She got to meet us. My friends came out, a bunch of my friends came out, and they stayed the night for a couple nights just to say hi to her and get to know her and everything. So it was just like, okay, cool. And about a month later, it started to go south. I mean, I stayed married with her, this was basically the beginning of October of 2021 when it started going south, shortly after she got her green card.
Yeah.
And I stayed with her for like another almost year and a half, trying to figure it out. I'd go, okay, look, we were having marriage issues. Maybe it's just a cultural thing. How do you feel about marriage counseling? And she made it impossible to have a marriage counselor, because she's like, they have to be Filipino, they have to have been from the Philippines, and they have to know about Filipino culture and everything. And I'm like, yeah, we're not going to find anybody here or anywhere near here that qualifies for that, And so she basically wrote it off, and I was just like, okay. I started seeing a counselor just because I was just like, I got to figure this out in my head, what's going on.
Yep.
And where it started really going bad was, and this is another thing where I basically rationalized it out of a cultural difference or something like that. One of my friends was leaving the country and basically going to tour the world for years. She just, she had the money, she's going to tour. So she was coming up with me to go say bye to her. and we were picking up a friend of mine to basically also that was going to be close by there, so we could all say bye at the same time. And on the ride up, my friend is kind of like me. It's like going, I might not start getting ready until you're there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I called her a couple times along the drive because it was like a 2-hour drive up to the Portland area.
Yeah.
So I called her a couple times going, okay, we're like, this far out, be ready. And my wife was getting kind of upset at this. And I'm like going, this is just how we are. It's like, I got to make sure that she's ready. Otherwise we get there, she's going to be, we might sit here for a half an hour or so waiting for her to get ready.
Yeah.
So we get to the place where we're having dinner and doing our goodbyes, stuff like that. And my wife, she just stays on the phone. She's just constantly on the phone and stuff like that. And, what I was calling her was Mahal, which is basically my love in Tagalog.
Yeah.
So I was like, she was basically in her own world playing on her phone while we were all having a conversation. It was like my friends started asking her questions and she just stays on her phone just like that. I was like, Mahal. And then I said her name. And then she looked at me like that was the most evil thing I could have ever done to her, kind of by calling her by her name. And I'm like, you weren't answering. I just trying to get your attention because everybody wants to have a conversation with you. And that's where it started really going downhill.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started finding out that she was hacking into my phone continuously, just trying to find something that would make her angry, and basically that she could use against me somehow or another. And there's nothing on my phone. I mean, I have conversations with my friends. I don't have conversations with women. I'm not attracted to, who I'm involved with. That's who I'm involved with. I don't basically, talk any weird, like lovey-dovey type of stuff.
You're not flirting with somebody
else.
Yeah, you're not flirting with him.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, I'm not flirting whatsoever. No. And she just kept going further and further. And this is where basically the last part of October, maybe early the first week of November of 2021, me and her are having an argument because she's like getting upset that I'm talking to my friend who I classify as my sister.
Yeah.
And she doesn't like that and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, and look, this is my friend. I've been friends with her for 25 plus years. I've been friends with her so long that her children call me Uncle Rob.
Yep.
And my children call her, Auntie.
Yep.
So we're basically brother and sister kind of thing. And that's just the way it is. And she was having an argument going, look, I got to sit down and think about this because I don't know where this is going. I was like, I don't know what's going on here.
Yep.
So I go sit down in the front room and I'm just sitting there. And then all of a sudden I hear a gun go off. And I was just like, for a split second, I was just like, oh, crap, what the hell just happened? I run back there. She basically shot the gun into the floor and she was basically picking it up and making it look like she's going for her head kind of thing. And I grabbed the gun, put my finger in there to stop her from, pulling the trigger again kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I took the gun away from her, dropped the clip, chambered out the bullet out the next round out and stuff. And I was just getting everything out of there. I put the gun down. I was like, what just happened? Kind of thing. I was like, I don't even know what happened. And after I got her calmed down, I collected all the guns that were in the house, took them outside, locked them up in my shed so she couldn't get to it and stuff, and gave my key to another person so no one could get into the shed at that point. And then when I had a chance, I took all my guns and gave them to a trusted friend because he's got a gun safe. And I said, hold on to these until I can figure out what the hell's going on here.
Yeah.
And my, like I said, my mind, I'm going, okay, this is some kind of weird cultural thing. I didn't call the police because I knew if I called the police, they would arrest her. She'd be basically on the next plane out of the country.
Yeah.
Because that's like something that immigration would not tolerate whatsoever. And I'm like going, hey, this is the woman I married. I don't want her basically getting kicked out of the country. Crap. Okay. So I was kind of like stuck between a hard place, and a rock kind of thing. I was like, I don't know what to do here. And so I started calling up people and trying to figure out, okay, what's going on. And some people that I knew, they're going, that's not a cultural thing. That's not cultural there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not right. And because I had some friends from the Philippines already, so I already, okay, I'm going to talk to them. If I want to know something about the Philippines, I better talk to this person.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
That was a good idea.
And, okay, here goes my, yeah. And here, another ADHD thing that I forgot. When we got married, there's only like 3 requirements for getting married in the Philippines. You go register, you get your certificate from the U.S. Embassy saying that I can legally marry a Filipino citizen, and then you go to the mayor or a priest to get married. That's pretty much it. I did like 7 or 8 different things, and I'm like going, I thought it was part of the thing, and she's going, yeah, you got to do this. I had to plant 2 banana trees because they said that was part of it. I had to go talk to the police chief.
Yeah.
I don't know. We went to a place, but what I found out is like she's related to a lot of these people in the government and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was paying each one of them as I went to them. So like I had to go see the police chief in the local area where we were getting married to and pay him a few bucks. And I was just like,
oh, really?
Okay. And one of the things too was we had to take a class, supposedly a marriage class, and I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Come to find out, I looked it up later. It's like going, the marriage class is only for citizens under the age of 25. And we're both 40.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, I see how this is working. I didn't realize this until after she'd gone. That I was like,
sure, you don't understand.
I was duped. I was,
yeah, I got you.
Yeah. And so it just kind of kept going south and south, and then I developed COVID in November of 2022, late November, early December of 2022. Was down for like 2.5, 3 weeks. I was just like, I was out of it.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh, all right, and that's where basically I think she decided that was it. She was going to leave.
Yeah.
And so she started planning things and stuff. She had a really good job where she was making because all the overtime she was working, she was making like $5,000+ a month.
Mm-hmm.
And when she left, she's like, I don't have any money. I'm like going, how do you not have any money? You haven't bought anything and you get $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
And even after taxes, you're still getting $4,000 a month. And all you're giving me is money for the gas and money to make sure the car is still working so I can get you to and from work.
Yeah.
I don't have no money. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. And that's when she started wanting the tax return for 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, no, that's going to pay down the credit cards that we agreed on. I didn't agree to that. And I'm just like going, oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. And she started right after the beginning of the new year, she started making threats to me. One of the threats was like, you're going to take me to my work, and if you don't, me or my friends are going to call the police and report you for abuse. I was just like, that's when I luckily I have a friend that's a sheriff. Yeah. And I asked him about that. He goes, just so you know, I'm a mandatory reporter. I'm like, okay, I'll keep it as vague as possible so I can kind of get some advice from you on this. And after telling him what was going on vaguely, he's like, it's probably best that you get a restraining order and have her removed from the house.
Yeah.
And, I started looking through my past messages through her going, okay, there's got to be something here that I've missed.
Yeah.
That I didn't see before. And when I started going through it, I was like going, holy smoke. I missed a lot. There was red flag after red flag after red flag continuously through our entire relationship. And so I took that, and then also, with her firing the gun in the house, and that she said that she'd basically burned down her ex's house, and that she shot and killed him, to the court, and they granted me basically a restraining order against her and had her removed. And at that time, right after she moved, we had a phone that we gave her. And I basically got the phone records back from that. So I could see, okay, what's going on here. found out she called my ex-wife and destroyed my relationship with my children. My son says that he never wants to talk to me again because she basically played on his fears about me, and basically what she was saying confirmed everything that he thought about me.
Yeah.
And she called the IRS multiple times. She called what was it? Domestic violence hotlines multiple times.
Yeah.
She called domestic abuse for children multiple times, and this is all right after I kicked her out and stuff like that. So it's just like going, okay, I can see the pattern going on here. You're trying to figure out a way so you can stay and screw me over even more so than you already have. Okay,
She's
no,
already
it's not going to happen.
She's already a permanent resident, so she's already a permanent resident. So that's interesting.
Yep.
Now you talked about her. You talked about that she told you that she shot and killed her ex-husband, right? And one of the things you said, and one of the things you said to me was that when you were going through the annulment process with her, that that she sent you a death certificate for him.
Yeah, from
right?
Discovery. Yeah, it was Discovery that I asked for. I was like going, I want, I want his death certificate. I want the police reports and the autopsy reports for this.
Yeah. And did you
get? They would only.
I'm sorry. They would only give you.
They would only give. They gave me one thing that I didn't ask for, which was the Sinomar, which is her certificate of marriage that she can legally marry.
Yeah.
And the death certificate. And they basically put in there, her lawyer was pleading the fifth on the autopsy and police reports for it. And I'm like, and then at the same.
Did the death certificate say how he died?
Yes, that's what got me. I was just like going, when I read it, I'm going, that's a crime of passion. Now I know she was telling the truth.
So did it say that he was shot? Did it say that he was shot, or did it say?
Oh, I'm getting there.
Okay.
He was. It said that he was shot in the head and hacked in the chest and neck, or in the trunk and neck. So someone basically took a machete or a sharp knife and just started hacking at him.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And I was just like going, oh crap! And here's something. After this is what kind of drove it home. After I had her removed from the house, it spent a couple days before I started cleaning up and getting, all her stuff that she left packed into boxes and everything and put away. So I was cleaning up. I found 3 steak knives hidden in our room in different spots.
Oh my goodness.
And I was just like, I'm glad I'm not a statistic. Holy crap.
Yeah. So,
wow.
But you said that's
crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. Now you said that the death certificate was registered years after he died, though, right?
Yeah, it shows that he died in December of 2001, and she said she couldn't get it. It would cost too much to get the death certificate. It only costs like $8 to get a death certificate in the Philippines.
Yeah.
She said it cost over 5,000 pesos, which is over $100. And stuff like that. I'm going, I could have paid it, and we could have, we wouldn't have this issue we're having right now. Yeah. And also the death certificate, to get the death certificate, her lawyer said, well, she doesn't have that information, which was the autopsy and the police report. And I'm going, with what this says on this death certificate, you need the autopsy and the police report to be able to file this death certificate of how he died. Yeah. You need that stuff per Philippine laws. Yeah. So, okay. Let's see where we're going here. I went off track.
No, that's interesting.
Death certificate.
Yeah.
Let's see. Death certificate. You asked me a question. I went off track.
Oh no, that's okay. That's where I was going. So you got the death certificate, but it was issued years later, right? He died in 2001. It wasn't registered until when?
She didn't register. Surprisingly enough, she didn't get it registered until 2 weeks after she got served annulment paperwork.
So she never submitted this when you filed for her to become an immigrant. You didn't have that document when.
No, I did not.
That's interesting. So that would be one. Yeah. I mean, that would be interesting. I don't know what they did when they interviewed her, but that's an interesting case right there in and of itself. Uh, Hopefully
Well,
you submitted all that.
I think what she did was tell them that she was never married,
Uh,
because her seminar says that she was never married and she was single.
that's
Even
interesting.
though I have her and her husband's now, I got it from a private eye out of Florida to get me her marriage certificate to her husband, because for some reason I couldn't do it because I'm not either her or her husband, so I don't have access to that. But I got a private eye that somehow I was able to get the marriage certificate for her and her husband. So I'm going, I got that, and now you got a death certificate for your husband.
Mhm.
So this other paperwork, so it's like going, you gave me two pieces of paper. They're either one's a lie or they're both lies.
Well, you said that
One's a fraud.
you said on the death certificate when we were talking earlier, you said that the death certificate had his wrong date of birth on it, right?
Yes, the marriage certificate. She's given me like three different dates, and the marriage certificate shows a different date also
Yeah, that's
for
interesting.
his birth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he's really dead.
Basically,
So I guess my question would
yeah,
be, is he really dead? That's
yeah.
yeah,
Like the marriage certificate says that he was born in 1970.
yeah.
She's told me that he was born in 69, and the death certificate says that he was born in 67.
That's
So I'm
crazy.
like, there's
Yeah,
three different,
a lot of,
and so yeah.
yeah. That leads as a fraud officer who's done a lot of these documents. That leads me to think some of these documents are highly suspicious, and I would suspect if you submitted them back to the Philippines, some of them are not going to be true. You know, you can't
Yeah,
have
I
that
know
many
the seminar. Yeah, you go.
I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah. I think no. That's what I'm saying is that I think what I would say is that having done this long enough, that some of these documents aren't any good, and you just got to get someone to go back and submit those to the government and ask them which ones are true and which ones aren't. And the Philippine government will tell you which ones are fraudulent, which ones are
Well, my thing is because of some of the stuff that she did there locally where we got married in that area, and come to find out the mayor that married us, the mayor of the town that married us,
yeah,
is her cousin.
yeah,
And it seems like that yeah, I didn't realize that until much later.
yeah, yeah.
And then on top of that, there's multiple issues like with the paperwork. I'm going, okay, this is an official piece of paper from the Philippines. It's got the stamp on it and everything like that, but it's lying. So the local government, to me, is corrupted, or is basically doing everything they can to protect her somehow or another, doing something there, because I'm going, obviously it's false. If I have a marriage certificate showing that she was actually married to this guy, and how she was able to say that she was able to get here was that she was never married,
Yep.
there's something going on there
And
with the
three
local
children. She
government.
has
So
three children, right? She has three children.
yes,
Right. So,
two
but
from her husband, and then one from another guy.
yeah. So one of the things I want the audience to understand and people to understand when you're talking about this is what the importance and significance of this. And people are going, why didn't she get a divorce decree? Why didn't she just get a divorce? Well, the Philippines, if you're two Filipinos in the Philippines, you can't get divorced. They only have annulment. And so what I want the
Yep.
audience, or people to understand, if they're listening to this, is that the reason for all of this charade is that she couldn't get divorced in the Philippines from her Philippines husband. So either she's got to get an annulment from him, which they may
Or
not
he's got
give her an annulment because she has two children from him. So an annulment's kind of out of the question. So the possibility is that that somebody's got to die. They either got to die legitimately, where she shot him, or they've got to pretend like he's dead. And it's very common in countries like that, where if you have people in the government, they'll make you up a death certificate. You pay them a little bit of money. You see this very much in third world countries. I can give you, $10 or $15, and you'll make me up a birth certificate, a death certificate, a marriage certificate, a divorce decree, whatever I want for the money.
Yeah.
So that's really common, but much more common than people understand.
Yeah. So for me,
Now,
jump ahead. I filed for annulment here in July of last year,
yep,
and she was served, but I didn't serve her properly, so we had to go to court just a few weeks back
yeah,
on this whole thing. And I lost that because I couldn't prove that he was alive.
yes,
I lost the annulment because I couldn't prove that he was alive, and American courts are a little bit more lenient
yes,
towards certain things. And,
yes,
as opposed to that, I put out an offer going, okay, take the annulment here. It's over with. You can deal with the U.S. government. Who knows? You might be able to fight and stay.
yeah,
Whatever. It's out of my, go ahead, do it, whatever.
yeah,
Or if you don't take it, I'm going to file in the Philippines, and now you're going to be facing up to 30 years in prison for falsifying government paperwork,
yeah,
fraud, bigamy, all sorts of things. And guess what? I won't have anything to say about that. They will file the charges against you
yeah,
there. If I'm granted an annulment there with all the paperwork I have, I can prove that we're not legally married.
yeah,
And she decided to fight here about it. So I was just like, okay, that's the way it's going to be, sure.
yeah,
And she's under the assumption that that if she gets a divorce here, that it'll stop the fraud investigation with the U.S. government, which I'm like, actually, it won't, because it's two separate things, and federal government uses international law when they decide certain things. So a lot of times, and all the evidence I gave them already, and now what you've given me in court from discovery is going to prove my case beyond a shadow of a doubt with
yeah,
them, and the likelihood of you staying here is very small.
yeah.
And for your audience, she's already engaged, and she's been engaged. She got engaged about 6 months after I had her removed from the house.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we not me, but a couple of my friends tried to warn this guy, and he didn't care. And
yeah.
and the only reason I found out about who he was, because him and her somehow or another were able, even though I have my page locked up, they were able to see my on an immigration fraud page. They
Yeah.
saw some messages I put on there, and that's how I was able, and basically kind of started going off on me about that, and that's how I was able to find out who her fiance is.
Yeah.
And I just went back and go, okay, who's the newest members on here? And I saw her, and then I saw him. So I hit his, I hit his link, and it's like going, oh, look at that, they're friends.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. No, that's very typical. And so I mean, I guess the scenario is now. I got a question for you. You said your friend here started a matchmaking group with Philippines. What have you talked to your friend who started that group as well? Is he still?
Oh, I'm still friends with him and everything like that. It's like we're still. The surprising thing is we're still basically the two moderators on that page. No one else is on it, so like that. So we basically blocked her off of it. We basically deleted her so she could never come back on the page.
Yeah.
And we still moderate it here and there and stuff, but it's kind of a dead page anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that was interesting. That's great. So good. So I think we've got a gist of it. Now you filed for annulment. That are you filing for annulment in the Philippines now, or?
Well, I'm working on that. There is two different law firms I've been talking to, and they're more than willing to take the case and pursue it. And I told them, everything, including the murder part of it, that's involved with it. They're more than willing to, but I've discovered that Filipino lawyers cost the same as American lawyers.
No, that's interesting. But you got to shop around.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that expensive, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know about the Philippines as far as the law goes. But, they see you as the gringo. There's a gringo tax, and anywhere else in the world, almost anywhere in the world, there's a gringo tax.
Oh, no. And actually, when I look online, that's their average cost. And plus, I've done some research, and for an annulment in the Philippines, you're looking at $3,500 to $5,000 or more for an annulment.
Oh, that's not bad, because usually here it's like 20 to 30,000.
Yeah. And then also, for anybody that any of your listeners that are interested in Filipinos and stuff like that, if it goes south and you want to get an annulment, you're looking at 1 to 3 years or more
Okay.
for the annulment process.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm sure you've told people this too. It's like going, do your due diligence.
Yeah.
If you have to, hire a private investigator to research this person before you get seriously involved with him.
Absolutely.
Because it literally will save you thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars just doing that little bit of recon.
Isn't it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. That's really good advice. You need a third party. And the interesting thing is, I think if you hire that third party just to look into them before you get into this, you could probably do that on the cheap. $300 or $400 bucks. Find somebody just to follow them around a little bit, dig into their past, and you could save yourself a lot of headache. Because most countries it's pretty cheap. You'd probably get away with less than $300 or $400 in most countries. That's right.
Oh yeah.
That's
The reason it cost me to get the marriage certificate for her and her husband, it cost me $600. I was going through a Philippine agency, but they kind of ghosted me and wouldn't give me the information.
Yeah.
So I had to go through someone else. I went through an American agency that has people in the Philippines, and they've been around for like 20 plus years. So I was like, okay, trusted. They do this all over the world. And if anybody wants to know later on, I will give you that information so people can do this. Look
I'd
it up
love to know. Yeah, I'd like to know. I'd like to know who they are too. That would be interesting for me to. We'll do that offline because I don't know if they probably do want the advertisement, but we can advertise them later. But I would like that information. How does this? Let me ask you. So you're out probably $20,000 or more dollars from this marriage, right? This is, $16,000 to her, $16,000 to her just to support her, and then how much the money you spent wrestling with all this.
A good 4,000 plus for the fees and everything like that, and the airplane tickets to get her and her son here.
Yeah.
And then my flights to the Philippines and to Hong Kong and stuff like that. It's just like, you're looking at like $20,000 to $25,000 that I'm out.
And then the mess of the annulment, how much you spend for the annulment, and what about the emotional? I'm sorry.
The emotional, well, okay, we'll go to the annulment first. As we've already discussed, I'm kind of poor. I'm on a fixed income, so I did the annulment all on my own, which probably was detrimental to me doing it that way.
Yeah.
But I didn't have $3,500 plus that lawyers were asking to get an annulment started and everything like that. So I was just doing it on my own.
Yeah.
The emotional part, oh my God, I was so hyper focused with the court and trying to figure out everything, and it was just like after court when it's like the judge didn't rule in my favor, and I was just like, all right. I was kind of like, what the hell? And I get downstairs. I go talk to the people in the basically the main officer where you file all your paperwork, because they got to know me pretty well.
Yeah.
They know me by name there.
Yeah.
So I got down there, told them what happened, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I'll see you again, maybe I won't. We'll see what happens. And I walk out the door, and it was just kind of like it's over. Okay. I just have to put this paperwork into the Philippines and the local and the authorities here in America, and I don't have to deal with it ever again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, it was basically like a great relief. Even though I lost, it was a great relief because I had even more documentation because of them showing that we're not legally married.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, you actually gave me paperwork that proves that we're not married, and I'm going to give that to the authorities that can make this happen and make sure that she doesn't get to stay here.
Yeah.
Good job on the lawyer there. That was really good.
Yeah.
And he actually did a stupid thing. I don't know why he did it, but he's in a message to me. He states, well, if you really wanted to get an annulment, then you should just file for the annulment in the Philippines. I'm like, okay. Your client's going to shit town real fast.
Yeah.
Because of your advice. Good job, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I see this happen a lot, and I appreciate your story, Robert. we're hitting close to an hour. We're a little bit over an hour, and I think that's about what we got. I do want to end with this. I like to put these on YouTube. I just want to make sure that you have the consent, that I have your consent to put this on YouTube for people to hear and see if that's good. All right.
I'll give you my busted up thumb.
All right. All right. Thanks you very much. I'm going to stop the recording now, but I appreciate you very much. We can still talk for a minute, but I don't want to keep this running.